Hello, Pangeo people. My name is Matt. I'm one of the Dask maintainers. I'm also one of the original Pangeo people, along with Ryan and Joe. I set up the very first Pangeo-Hub with folks like UV. I'm talking to a few folks in the Pangeo space recently about Coiled, which is like a for-profit product we have to deploy Dask, and sort of how it compares to the various Pangeo hubs. I'm gonna give a quick demo of that and kind of explain why we chose this architecture. Maybe you'd also like to use this. That's sort of my hope. So I'm gonna give a quick demo of its use, and I'll talk a little bit through why we chose this approach. So I'm asking for a Dask cluster with 10 workers in US East 1. Coiled it's looking first at my local environment to find all the pip and conda packages that I have, and it's gonna ship that up to the cloud so that I can sort of use that remotely. It's actually noticed that I've got a development version of a package called Tuna. It's creating a wheel for that. And that'll be done in maybe 10 seconds. And after that, we'll have a cluster running in about 2 minutes. So great, the software environment check process is done. Now it is provisioning those 10 machines for me. It'll then boot those, it'll download the environment, and it'll get it all running, again, in about a minute or two. While this is running, I'm actually going to switch and talk about why this approach, what this approach is doing, relative to the historical sort of Pangeo-Hub process. So Pangeo first started actually on HPC. That was where a lot of the sort of geoscience community was. They were on big supercomputers. There was just a desire to move to the cloud. We set up a system long ago called Pangeo-Hub, which was on the cloud, and we used Kubernetes within the cloud. And there we set up two technologies, JupyterHub, and then originally Dask Kubernetes, and eventually Dask Gateway. And how that would work is that you would, through a web browser, connect to JupyterHub. You get a Jupyter notebook. You would then ask, from Jupyter notebook, ask Dask Kubernetes or Dask Gateway to give you a Dask cluster. You would then do a lot of work. This was great. This was like way more empowering than anything anyone else had done before. It's amazing how rapidly this has transformed all the work you all have done. So it's cool. That being said, as this got more successful, it became a major pain in the butt. Let me enumerate the ways in which this became painful. Everyone wanted different software environments installed, different versions of Xarray, different versions of Xarray, NetCDF sometimes. People were in lots of different regions. So like their data was in different spaces. And so suddenly there wasn't one Pangeo-Hub, there were many. People didn't want to manage Docker images. We had to make them for everybody. People wanted to do things that weren't notebooks. They wanted to run jobs. They also left machines on. I had to come and bother people. Hey, I'm going to close this cluster of yours. And eventually all sorts of people had to maintain these systems. And so I think Pangeo kind of federated out through lots of different groups. And today, different groups will manage their own deployments. Sometimes 2I2C will manage them for you, which is great. But in general, this was kind of a little bit of a pain. Again, this is great, but I think there's some pain that wasn't resolved here that I think is resolved by Coiled. So I want to push that a little bit. The approach we have with Coiled is different. The approach that we have is your computer runs Python. You ask Coiled for a cluster. Coiled then talks to your cloud, and it creates that Dask cluster for you. There's no Kubernetes, there's no JupyterHub, there's no Docker registry. It just creates VMs running Dask for you. And this works in any region, with any software environment, with any hardware, ARM, GPU, SSDs, and from anywhere you can run Python, not just notebooks. So let's take a look at that again. So again, that took a couple of minutes. That's right. I have not imported client. That's how you know it's a live demo. Client equals client of cluster, just like before. Cool. Now let's connect up to that. So I'm running this from my MacBook Pro. I'm in Texas. And let's load up some data. Just using Xarray, Dask, normal things you would do. And analyze that. So again, I'm using Dask on the cloud with looks like the Era 5 data set sitting on Amazon S3. I was able to do that from a Dask cluster that I targeted on US East 1. And I got this nice little result, this nice little GIF of something. You all know how this works better than I do. And again, I want to sort of like walk through again the things that just happened, right? I, from my laptop in Texas, asked for a cluster in US East 1. I could easily have asked for 100 machines. Let's ask for ARM. It's actually really fun. ARM is a bit cheaper. And let's ask for this in US East 2. Let's make a totally new cluster now running in a totally different region with a different number of workers with different architecture. And again, that's going to run in a couple of minutes. We're going to have a new cluster running. And I can run this from the exact same space. I don't have to like log into a different Pangeo-Hub, operate with different environments. It's all just going to work for me. All these things are going to be managed also I can go and see and look what's going on. So I've got lots of different teams here, and I can see my 2 clusters. I got a cluster here that's running. Here's a couple other things that I was running from before. Those will all be cleaned up in about 20 minutes if I don't touch them. And here's that cluster that's running. So we can go and see where it is in its development cycle. Right, so the workers are starting. They're starting to download some workers, some software environments. I can see how much they're costing me. I can invite people to this team, right? If I've got graduate students, I can invite them, and I can limit how much they can burn of my system, both on an instantaneous basis and per month. 10,000 CPU hours is about $500 of use. So again, if you are running the Pangeo stack in the cloud today and you're having any frustration with, again, things like managing software environments, crossing regions, workflows that aren't notebooks, managing costs, managing users, or if it is just painful to manage the system that you have, it might be that the Coiled approach takes a lot of that pain away from you. We are a company. We charge for this product. We don't charge for your first 10,000 CPU hours per month, which is what, honestly, most of our users are below that threshold. We want to charge you like many thousands of dollars once we're managing many tens of thousands of dollars of usage for you. We don't really care about you cost-wise until then. So this is probably something you could use today without really thinking too much about the commercial aspect. If you're interested, there's a lot of information here at Coiled.io. You can set it up really easily. If you don't know how to set it up, we can help you set it up. There's like a Coiled setup command that takes care of most things for you. So yeah, that's it. If you want to get in touch, go to Coiled.io and drop us a note. Hello at Coiled.io. I'm also M. Rocklin at pretty much anywhere. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for your time.